Hello, my name is Eddie Matthews, and I would like to share a story with you. One morning while leaving my home to run an errand, something caught my eye. A stream of light. It made me stop to take a closer look. Immediately, three things came to mind. Number one, this is a spider web. Number two, where there's a spider web, there's a spider. And number three, I don't like spiders. Just seeing the spider brought back a memory from when I was a child. It looked something like this. I later learned it was a wolf spider. All I know is that it was creepy, and I didn't like it crawling on my bed. From then on, I had a bad history with spiders. I believe it started when I was 3 or 4 years old, when I was subjected to strange nursery rhymes about spiders. Why do adults tell such stories to small children? Take this photo of this grandmother and grandson. Look at his reaction when he hears the itsy bitsy spider. It's as almost though he's taking a step back. Even the dog in the background seems to be looking around as though something's not right. When I was 6 years old, I was bit by a spider. It hurt. Now this photo is not a picture of that experience, but it does represent what can happen if you get bit by a poisonous spider, and I learned that it's best to avoid them. When I was 8, I remember watching a Brady Bunch episode when the family went to Hawaii. Anybody over the age of 40 will not forget that most disturbing scene that happened with a tarantula. When I watched that episode of that tarantula crawling up that bed and onto Peter's chest, I think it became the starting point of several days of lost sleep. When I was 10, I recall being required to read stories about spiders. What's the deal? If you ask me, this is mere spider propaganda. Around age 12, a friend of mine gave me several copies of Spider-Man the comic book. I thought it was a little strange for this to happen. I began to think this was a conspiracy. But I read them, and interesting enough, Spider-Man became my favorite superhero. However, I still didn't like spiders. As a teen and young adult, I claimed I had no fear of spiders. But I began to wonder how true that was. At age 24, while running antenna wire in an attic, I got caught in a large spider web. I became so frantic that I began retreating and fell through the ceiling and severed an artery in my leg. I was lucky I didn't lose it. I kept blaming it on the spider, but really it was about fear. Now that I've shared a brief history of my experiences with spiders, let's go back to the morning of October 5th, 2007, when I first encountered this unique spider web on my front porch. Just as I was going in the house to get a broom to destroy the spider and its web, I decided to take a closer look. This decision changed everything, and would be the basis of this story. In fact, I sat on this red bench for almost an hour staring at this spider. I became captivated. I began to see something that looked rather amazing. I began to have questions about why it was doing what it was doing, and how long did it take it, and for what purpose did it make this web. I even came to look for the spider later that night. I guess it was working hard. You might say it was moonlighting. The next day, my interest continued to grow as I saw this beautiful web that was created all over again. I decided to research to learn more about this spider and learned that it was a Spiny-back Orbweaver. The geometric patterns and structure reflected that of a mathematician and architect. I began to consider how much time it would take to build this web, and I couldn't help but to be impressed. I began to marvel how this spider would repair its web when things would blow in the wind and destroy part of it. I guess all that spinning paid off because it eventually caught some food. As I gazed at this spider through the lens of my camera, I became tempted to give it a name, something like Orby. But my experience is that when you start naming things of the wild, they have a way of becoming your pets. And I'm not sure my wife and kids would appreciate a spider hanging around in their house. So, the more I thought about it, and the more I considered the inspiration that it gave me, I thought a most fitting name would be my Spider Muse.